Good morning, everybody. How's it going? I hope you're all doing well. I'm doing pretty okay now. I was a bit sick, but we are here. Just gonna make sure that the live streams, is live and good, which it is. So happy Thanksgiving to our American friends if you're tuning in. I know it's been like all sorts of things. Black Friday was is a thing now, so some of you probably were um, getting your Black Friday on, which is great. And I hope you had some time to spend with your friends and family and loved ones. It's kind of what this whole thing is about. Just being thankful to be around and getting some time to chill, relax. So I hope you did. I hope you did. So as you could see today, there is no Greg. He's doing family things, so he's doing the right thing. He's doing what we were just talking about, um, which is perfect. So I have a few things planned today, but my computer's being awful strange, which I don't appreciate. But before we get to the things, let's do the thing. Thank you to our Patreons. You guys make the wheels go round and round and round and round. And without you guys, we'd have a lot less content to show you and a lot less product out there for you guys to access. So I want to say thank you to our Patreon crew. You guys know who you are. Obviously, you're up on the screen here. So I very appreciative of all of you guys held at the top there, but everybody on this list, thank you. If you wanted to get down on the Discord, you can hit Discord, yes, you can hit patreon.com/3D Make It, and we have our Discord, like I said, live. We do the Patreon live streams, which I think, honestly, guys, it's gonna be next week. We're gonna do it the first week in December here, so we can make sure we get it in, and then we also have the great well, I keep hitting the wrong button because Greg's not here. My bad, my bad. I have a button for without Greg. Gotta use it more. And if you cruise over to our website, you will see, let's see if I got, yay, right screen and everything. We have the great holiday design off 2023. Spool 3D is sponsoring some gifts for that, for the prizes. So there's two. It's not first and second. It's just kind of like who comes along, who enters. We kind of like to print them off. So the contest details are all laid out here. But basically, a holiday tchotchke ornament, whatever, something close to something you'd put on your shelf. And we'd like to see it in by, I think we said December 14th. Or December 11th is the print, 14th is the close. So if you don't get us to December 11th, we won't be able to print it. And then has to be printable. So that's a big one, I know, but we are, after all, making these to 3D print. So has to be 3D printable. And then we just had a max of 150 by 150 millimeters. If you happen to go over just a touch, it's fine. I mean, we originally set it so that you could print it on smaller printers, but if you go a touch over, it's fine, but try to shoot for that 150, 150. And then we encourage you to share the model on your favorite thing site. So Thingiverse, my manufacturer's called, so we talked about a few other ones in the last few weeks. So we encourage, fill them up, get them shared. And if you don't want to share them, though, you can always send us info at 3D Make It, and you need to do that anyway to enter. So once you have the link from the other ones, or if you want to just send us the file, send it on over. And then if you have questions, the Discord's a great place. So that's that. Enter the contest. That's all I gotta say. It's fun. Last year we had a few more the year before, but it's something that's really, really, really quick, easy to enter, and we all have a good time. So perfect. So that's kind of like all the housekeeping things I've got. I do know that coming in December, we're gonna have a bit of a Christmas break. So I want to just say out loud that the Christmas break's gonna be like, we're gonna be off probably like off the weekend of Christmas. So for us, it's the 23rd, 24th. So we'll be off then, and we're actually probably off the next weekend because, like, as you know, a week after is New Year's for us folk in Canada and US and stuff. So we'll probably be off those 2 weeks and then back in January, and ready to rock and roll. So now we went through all the housekeeping. So let's go into some fun stuff, the news. So there's not a heck of a lot that I could find. Yeah, obviously it's Black Friday. There's some crazy deals yesterday or 2 days ago, and there's some crazy deals still. Cyber Monday's out. If you want a $200 Ender printer, you can find it right now. So if you're gearing up for the holidays and wondering what to get somebody, there's still time to spend a couple $100 and grab a really decent 3D printer. The Ender 3 V2 Neo was on sale for, I think, sub 200 Canadian at some retailers. So it's a great printer and a great way to get into the hobby. So look for those sales still if you're out there looking for some presents, or if you want to get into it. So one of the things that I often ask myself is, what is the value in 3D printing? Like, is it, and I have a few questions and ponderings around that today, but is it something that is sustainable, right? Is it something that's is it a tool you need, or is it a hobby space that you want to make? And in all those answers, it can be sustainable, it can be a hobby space, right? And yeah, it can be sustainable. So like along the line of sustainability, Prusa 3D has released a brand new, well, I don't know how brand new it is, but Prusa 3D has released this filament here. So let's go. I promise I'm going to push the right button to go back this time. But Prusa 3D has released this filament, and it's you can see it's called Prusa PLA, right? Big deal. But it's actually RPLA, so it's recycled, and so they have this recycled PLA, and they're trying to reduce reuse. So packaging, everything, all of that's recycled. But the cool part about this stuff is it's actually made from other products other than just like corn. So that's kind of what it looks like on the website there. But like, so Prusa RPLA, like, we all know that like regular PLA, we're not talking biodegradability here. We all know that PLA takes a very long time to degrade, and even if it's recycled, it's still PLA. Okay, so that's the other important fact. But it's something that we can use that's sustainable, because we're not going to be obviously like relying on like oil and that kind of stuff to make our plastics and polymer for 3D printing. Right, so they have some additional benefits to Prusa right now with the RPLA. If you haven't tried Prusa filament, it's actually really good. Just pick up a roll. I burned through the one I got for Christmas finally this year, and I'm gonna get some more, so it's good. But so like its spiel is like pigmenting, right? It's going to use biopigments instead of like actual dyes, and like I said before, they're using like algae and grapes and other kinds of materials to make the actual filament. So we're going to end up with a product that's more sustainable. Now, Does this mean that PLA, an RPLA, might not be as durable as, say, it's like normal PLA, like an HT PLA from Protopasta or even Prusamen's normal line? Um, Time will tell with that one. I want to get my hands on a roll to try it. But I can say this: I have tried other eco-friendly PLAs in the past, and they perform. They perform well, especially if you're just like in the if again this comes back to like the way you use your printer, right? So like if you're printing like hobby board games and that stuff, like dividers, minis, think buildings, walls, D&D stuff. If you're printing those kinds of things, you won't have any problem with RPLA. It'll hold up just fine. Now under load, since it's not an engineering material, now for that matter, neither is PLA really, but they might be more susceptible to things like heat creep, or you might find that it is less temperature resistance. Now, I just want to see if I can find the printing temperature for that. So just give me a second. I don't know if they have it listed yet. I don't think they do. So we all know PLA's between like 210, 225 comfortable. You can go down to 200 for some of it. The Prusament stuff is usually on the higher end. Same thing with the Protopasta. I think that you'll probably see the recycled stuff come in a little bit lower, just because of what it's made of. So it might not do as well in a warmer environment, but it will hold up fine, I'm sure. So that's kind of sustainability. There's the argument that like your 3D printer uses power, right? And we all know that like that's a big thing right now: carbon offsetting, carbon footprinting. I'll leave that one to you to decide. I'm okay with running my 3D printers. I don't run them daily, but when I do, they're like all 7 of them are going. So plant a few big trees or something. Or if you're in Europe, lots of solar panels up there, and they're getting more popular here too. So you could do stuff like that to offset. So I guess that's like the hobby, the reusable. Now the tool side of it really comes into the next kind of question, and that's like what do you find valuable in a 3D printer? So there's lots of different printers out there, obviously, and I got this question midweek, actually, this week I think, or the week before, but somebody said, hey, we know we're doing some workshops and stuff, but can we get this printer instead of this printer in the workshop? And spoiler alert, to that question, the answer is unfortunately no, because the workshop isn't geared towards like just a printer farm or a printer buying mechanism. It's there to, get people interested and offer affordable options into printing. And affordable is one of the points we'll make here. But part and parcel with value and affordability comes what you're getting out of the printer. And that used to be a very definitive thing, right? Like it used to be like this $300 printer would never ever compete with this $1,200 or $3,000 printer. Recently, an old friend of mine bought an Ender 3, and for his daughter, I think it was, and they're loving it, right? Like it's the best thing, and it's working really good, and I'm glad to hear that, because partially we bumped into him and I was like, oh hey, you should try this printer. But I want to talk a little bit and maybe try to compare kind of like big printers on the market right now, and I hope my browser doesn't crash. I'm not sure why it was crashing before, but it was. So, from this affordability standpoint, there's obviously the Chinese brands like Creality, Anycubic, which actually, interestingly enough, if you didn't hear, Anycubic has or not Anycubic. Wow, we're almost put the wrong country. Anycubic has a Predator, but that has been around for a while. Sorry, I was thinking FL Sun. FL Sun. If you're familiar with them, they have the Delta printers, so they're one of the few companies that are still printing the Deltas. So those are like the ones where the head sits in the middle and swings, kind of on the three poles. So really good printers. We did a video on the Predator if you want to check it out. All the information remains true on how a Delta printer works. So we have printers like from Creality, FL Sun, and Anycubic, and there's a few other. Big Tree Tech is wetting their feet in the field still, I think. So, but when it comes to affordability, those are the printers you'll go to. You Reality was the brand that had the sub $300 printer, and I'm sure both the other brands did on Black Friday. So so did Two Trees. If you've heard of that brand, it's it's something that is readily available and affordable. Okay, so then when you move up the scale, it actually jumps pretty quick, but it's usually in the same company. All right, so like, I'm gonna bring up two printers here, and then I'll get them over on the right screen. Right, here we go. So let's see if we can bop this. No, it's not working yet, and it just closed my windows. Something's weird today. I don't know what it is. I'll have to call an IT man or something. Just give me a second. We're almost there. Yeah, okay. So, all right, let's hit this. Let's do this now that my windows are open. So the first one that I was thinking about that was relatively cheap was this Ender 3 Neo. Again, it was like kind of like sub 300. I like this page because it tells you right at the top. It has auto leveling, which is something we never ever saw on budget printers from 2017, right? 2016. It wasn't actually until like maybe the last year and a half that we actually saw this stuff. So we're adding value, all right, to our printer, which is another thing about adding those values. So full metal extruder, it says, which is true, but it's not a metal hot end, so keep that in mind. And it has this new design, which is actually pretty slick. It has these guards and stuff, so if you are putting it into a place where kids are, it's one of those things that you can actually see little fingers getting stuck in sometimes, and so they've made it, flat, which is great. The other, and I said the next step up is usually in the same company. So this one was sub 200, and then I think this one is still on sale. Yeah, so right now it's 409 Canadian. So you can see it's about double, and then regular price it gets up into the 620, range. But it's basically like it's an all metal hot end now, which you can print. It has the Sprite extruder, which is the same extruder as our Ender 3 Neo. It also has the CR Touch, which is the auto bed leveling. It does have, I think, a newer LCD screen on it, which is great. And then it, like the Neo, instead of being a full kit now, it's 4 screws in the bottom to hold up these uprights, and then you're ready to start in. So it's definitely something that has come along. This option again at $410 on sale, or $600. Like, if I were to count my first Ender 3 and all the upgrades I did to it, the BL Touch was $80. The flex plate on the build was about $40. And then I did the controller board to make it all silent because I had a Pro That's where I started with the Ender 3 series. As so the controller and the steppers is roughly $100. So for a $300 printer, I spent roughly 500 or sorry, what was it, $220. Well, you look at this. They offered in a package now for less. It's 410 to get the same features. Um, and I did the do-it-yourself direct drive conversion. And Greg and I have the Sprite, and we both really, really like it. The Sprite is a great extruder. Very, very few problems with it, if any. The only thing is if you retrofit the Sprite to an old Ender printer, like a Pro, you will lose uh, maybe 5 millimeters of your X travel. So just keep that in mind. It's not a big loss there, but it is enough to be a little lossy. And I think Creality already planned for that, because we know that when you look at build volumes for most of the enters, I wonder if we can find this one on. I'm sure we can. Let's scroll, shall we? Let's scroll. There we go. You can see that the build volume is always touted at 220 by 220, and we all measure the bed and go, but it's 235 by 235. And I think that's because Creality accounted for the offset of that hot end. So maybe loses the wrong word. So anyway, when we go back and we look at our kind of the flow, we have like our affordability, and we go up in a brand, and then hey, that's not the screen. See, everything crashed. I don't like it. Um, Everything goes up in a price bracket, right? And then once we have like our basic printers, so we can say between $200 and $600 we get a good printer. Then we start going into like the different brands, and one of the brands that pops up a lot these days is Bamboo Lab. I'm using the P1P because you can see like at $539 US, and I don't know if I can convert this to the poor Canadian dollar, but it would be roughly the same price as the regular price. So you can see like it was $629 for this Creality Ender 3 Pro, and that's the one that has all the all metal hot end stuff, everything, all of it $620. And then we go into the Bamboo Labs, and it has all the things that you could want in the Core XY, right? So the kinematics change here. You can print faster. This one comes more assembled ish, but I think now that it's just 4 screws in the bottom, setup time in 15 minutes is a fair statement for either of them, and you'll be printing. You can upgrade this one. So again, it's an open platform, kind of. Now this one's an interesting statement, and this is why a lot of people go to Bamboo or Prusa, and it's their multi-material system, which is it is a draw. Do you want to print lots of colors or different materials at the same time? Do you want wash away supports? That's kind of how you can get it. And then state of the art electronics. Yeah, sure. It's a microcontroller with sensors. We haven't really revolutionized a whole lot of the microcontroller yet. I mean, the drivers get faster, right? Sensorless homing is the thing, and that kind of stuff. Or what is it? Cool. I forget the feature now, but it keeps the drivers cool. Basically, they made the contact pad larger so the heat can dissipate faster. But we have this $700 Canadian printer. Let's call it Canadian right now because it's on sale for that. Versus the Creality. And I don't know if we've gained any value, but this printer holds more value to some. Isn't that right? And it's because of the features I mentioned. Lots of people like Core XY kinematic now, where back in the day it was kind of this, and when I say back in the day, it's like 2018, 2017 when hobby printing really started. But this machine has a sibling, shall we say, and that comes with all of the things that this printer can offer. So if we go to store and printers, and we can find the carbon. There we go. So this one is the P1S 3D. I was just reading the screen. So again, in the same brand, moving up $1,000. This one, again, lots of the same features, but you can see there's something stuck to the top of it. So that's the AMS system, and it's enclosed. So this printer comes self-enclosed. In theory, you could print ABS pretty well on those kind of materials because it's installed. The AMS is an interesting idea, but it is a flushed out idea too, not to say it's not product ready. So it basically takes these filaments up top, feeds it into one hot end, and away you go. So we're not quite at tool changing yet, and that would be the next evolution probably. And not to say I can't live at the home, but tool changing is more of a pro feature, even in CNC milling and stuff. So we have the P1P, and people find more value in this. I have a Core XY as well. Love it. It's a great printer. Does it print better than my Ender 3V2 Neo? It can print faster for sure, and that's a big thing for some people too, right? If you've been watching the YouTube feeds for 3D printing for a long time, it's like I printed a Benchy, which is that little calibration boat, in 10 minutes, and it's like, wow, but it looks like a little lump of boat. But people are trying to push printers faster, right? Vorons exist, and Vorons are an open platform Core XY printer as well. Greg's never showed his off, but hey, he will one day. So one more printer to add to the kind of the steps, and I would say that this one actually belongs boop. So we have our Creality. We're going to stay at the top end of the value range now, but the top price, I should say. $410 is the price right there right now. Our middle Prusa is $1,200, and the Bamboo Labs are sub $1,000 still. They got $950. Again, I'm using the $950 because I want to make sure that we're using Canadian, and actually this one's US and I can't change it, so this will be roughly $1,250 in there. So this is let's just call it $1,250 just to make it easy on my brain. So we have Prusa, and Prusa is a great printer. Prusa's been around for a long time, right? But when we look at the printer, the things that we looked at main feature wise for the others was build space, does it have auto leveling, kinematics, right? AMS, and yes, Prusa does have their own multi-material system, and once I remember the name, because I forgot it right when I said it, I'll let you know. But you can actually use that with this product. But here's the tech specs. So we've got 250, 210, 220. It's big, but it's not as big as the other printers still. So the Ender 3 in both versions has a bigger build space. It's worth noting that the Ender 3 has a big version that can do 300 by 3. So if you wanted to bump in size, add about $120, and then you get bigger. So the size is slightly larger. Let's just check out the Bamboo size here. I forgot what that was. 256. Thank you so much, website. All right, so the Bamboo size is roughly 256 cubed. Now we can see that the Prusa printer is actually smaller than both of these, which is it's always been the case. Prusa printers were the first to come with flex build plates. They still use the i3 frame that's been popular for 13 years now. Prusa really took it and made it something that was a stable platform. It was open source, still is, but Prusa changed it. But you can see that here's our benchies, and Prusa is touting 20 minutes on the Mark IV, which is true. It can do it. And then you can see like their designs a little, it's like a little box. It's cute. A little square box. And then you can get like an enclosure, and then it has all the perks. I don't know how much that one is though. No, doesn't say. That's okay. But again, Prusa offers the Mark K MK4, and it's the newest. It's not that like it's like a like when we went in Creality, the Ender 3 Neo, for example, V2 Neo, and the S1. Um, they're different printers and iterations on each other, whereas this one's the newest iteration, but like it almost, when a new Mark series comes out in Prusa, it almost replaces the old one. And you can see that Prusa offers the mini as well, which is akin to the um, Ender 2 in the Creality brand. And Bamboo actually has, oh goodness, I can never remember the names of all the printers, guys. But Bamboo has this guy A1. So all of the brands offer something, and this one is kind of cool because for 50, I think you actually get, yeah, you get it with the AMS, so you do get it with this filament changing system. And you can see really clearly in this picture that it's 4 tubes feeding in, and so when one filament goes in, it'll retract one and put the other one in. Again, not new. We were talking about that in 2018, but companies like this have now made it really feasible. So you can see it gets kind of gray when you want to go up, and then after, you know, these guys, so after the sub 2000s, then we start talking about printers like MakerForge, Ultimaker, and even Raise 3D. So we go to industrial 3D printing, and some of them are still PLA, but some of them are metal and those kinds of things. But like a Raise 3D Core XY printer right now will cost you, just let me see here. It's been a while since I've looked at Raise 3D, but hey, they're good printers. Anybody use Raise out there? Hey, Helge. Let's see. Helge has a comment, and I'm gonna read it as soon as I finish clicking, because as you know, my memory, it's if I don't finish something, it's not gonna happen. So the Raise Pro series, just for reference, I'll just show the screen here. Great printer. Starts at 5,000 US, 5,600 US, and goes to 7,600 US. So this one's a little bit out, I'm sure, of most people's hobby space, but great printer. But that's where you would go after the other three for affordability and value. And to be clear, like printers like the Raise upgrade components that add value, right? They have ball screws to move the bed up and down instead of just lead screws, and the motion systems, usually genuine rails and that kind of stuff. Helge says faster to me is not the thing, but the point must be faster and better, right? So I agree with that. If you can show me a printer that prints the same thing in the same amount of time, like, so let's say I have an ender for 20 minutes and an ender for 20 minutes, and one suffers, I want the other machine. I want the one that prints good, obviously. But also, I'll choose a slower machine if it prints better. And honestly, I've learned patience in the last year or two with 3D printing. I had a problem and I wasn't patient, and I said this before, and that's why you end up with 8 3D printers, because you want a project done. And it drives me nuts. So I bought a bunch of printers. There we go. But now I'm patient. I've learned it. So I could do 3 instead of 7. Helge says the price is too high compared to a Bamboo. Yeah, so Prusa's price is high. It's always been high, but I feel now, and I think it's important, let me just say it right now. We are not a sponsored stream. Uh, None of these products are sponsored. We're chatting about them. But yeah, Prusa's price has always been restrictive, especially if you don't live by the factory. And I think I forget where they're out of. I think it's the Czech, maybe. Prusa Research, Prague, Prague, Prague. But if you don't live over there, it's a lot of money to bring it over here. You're adding at least $400 usually to what they can get it from over there, so it's prohibitive. It's that's why I don't know a lot of people over here with Prusas. I know people that have built open frame Prusas, right? You print all the parts and source all the stuff yourself, and I do know people that do that. But Bamboo Labs, and dare I say, some of Creality's machines, like the K1. K1, if you're not familiar with it, is a Creality Core XY as well. It actually rivals the P1 anyway. I don't know about the carbon, but it's a good printer. It has its ups and downs, but Ray says the mindset of people is the more you pay for something, I think it's pay. It's always gets stuck behind the emojis, right? The mindset of people is the more you pay for something, the better it is, much like cars. And it's very true. Like I explain daily how if you want a good printer at a good solid printer, there's nothing wrong with starting at the Ender 3. And then if you want the upgrade path right now, the upgrade path is probably to Bamboo. So you could go like through that chain. I've owned other Ender 3 frames. I've used any cubic frames in that bed slinger format, and I didn't find them better. I found them different, and in some cases differently worse to my brain. I just I'm just being honest. It's one of those things where it's like if you look at the printer, they don't offer a lot of iteration. They just try to copy each other, which makes sense if you know how that one street in Shenzhen works. But the moral of the story, I guess, is and like Ray has a good point, and Helch says it too. Faster doesn't mean better if it's not a quality print after, and higher price doesn't mean better quality. It means higher price. Now, in the case of Ray's 3D, if you haven't seen them, they're really slick printers, but they are a lot of money, and you can build big Vorons the same size and get roughly the same quality. But Ray's comes in a package, and you get corporate support and all that kind of stuff. So it's great for industrial. So when we look at it, like I think it's kind of clear with the value structure that we kind of talked about. You can get a Bamboo with multi-material if that's what you need. You can get a Creality and then buy a palette after or something similar and get what you need. Now, the Bamboo, the A1, and I think Helch, if I remember, you said you ordered or pre-ordered the A1, which is sweet, but the A1 comes at $450 US, so about 600 Canadian. The palette that I speak of is by a company called Mosaic, and they're still around. It's great. When they first came out, I was a little leery of buying. We own a Palette Pro 2, and I'm like, I hope they don't go out of business because they're the only ones that makes the slicer for their palette, right? But the Palette Pro 3, I'll show you here. This one. So Palette Pro 3 looks like this. It has a black cover, but you can see it has filament inlets. So I got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 inlets that split into 2, and then like this motor drives the filament through when it needs to pick it up. It cuts it, it will splice mid, and then it'll extrude out to your printer. And what happens is and it's the same thing with all prints. There is a wipe tower, but you can see like the Mosaic is an addition for any printer, so it's not just it's not like the AMS, right? Or the Prusa one that I can't remember. Ray, help me out. I know you know the answer. What's the Prusa multi-color thing called again? But you can see like they have this splice core, and that's just the thing that cuts it. And Helge says A1's in them and MMU. Thank you, Ray. I blanked on it as soon as I said it. MMU is the multi-material unit from Prusa. Once you say it out loud, it makes you feel silly because it even means what it says. A1 is the male. We'll be here next week. Oh, that's great, Helge. You should do a print and then show us what the waist and the print looks like. I'm interested to see, because again, with all of these multi-material units, unless they are multi-tooled, so you have more than one hot end on your printer, they're all splicing or pulling the filament out and cutting it nicer to get a better print, right? But here, like, they always like to show the brains and the hearts and the kidneys and stuff. So this is mosaic. Let's see how much it is. So a mosaic will cost you about $1,200. Now this is again a full package. It's an ecosystem in itself, so it's not quite like buying an AMS or an MMU and attaching it to their branded printers with Bamboo or Prusa respectively. The palette is a separate product and it works good. If you're curious, we did a video on the palette. And we did a video on kind of the waist of the palette, and I'll do another one to have one ready for when Helge has his printed, because there is math that can increase. There's wiping inside the model, right? There's things that they can do to reduce the waist tower, but when you switch filament, you always have to have that purge. So be interesting to see on the AMS. I don't know anybody. Ray, do you have an MMU? I don't think you have an MMU. Before I say I don't know anybody with an MMU, I'm like, Ray's probably the only person I know with an MMU. But it would be interesting to do a comparison. So we have the Palette 2 Pro, which does, I think, 6. But it's very similar to this guy. And again, like I said, I was glad that Palette's still around, because their software is all in the cloud that renders, and it judges how much filament to put in. And but again, it's an ecosystem. Do I love it? I do. Palette's great, but it's one of those things that it's like, it's cost prohibitive for some to buy, but it does fill a need, and it does show that if you want great prints like these ones, I'm not going to click on the video, but like you can see, like there's the snail, and they have like a tanker to show the baffles and stuff, and the multi-layer. It looks like it's a mountain, maybe, but like you could see the use for it is if you hook this to a $200 printer, like the Ender 3 example on sale, the whole thing's let's see, $1,300 plus tax. That's pretty good. $1,300 plus tax gets you the palette. That's great. Now you guys can see the show notes. Read them quick. Gone. Okay. So the palettes is a feasible option to add that value to those printers. So the next thing I had on the list, and you saw the list, so you know, but it's been a while. Oh, sorry, I just need to take a drink quick, guys. Okay, sorry, I'm all drank up. Last year, tax season-ish, I had the privilege of hearing the comment, and I've wanted one for a long time, so I was really down with the comment, but my wife's like, I kind of want a laser engraver, right? And I said, okay, well, let's do some research, and research around these parts takes a while, because we want to make you make sure, and you make sure. So obviously, at a hobby level, there's 2 kinds that you can really have around your house. 3 if you want to spend more, but there's the CO2 lasers. So The hobby ones are called K40. The non-hobby ones are things like the Maker Forge or the oh man, I won't be able to remember it, but that's okay. BMO, and there's another big brand too. Um, and I'll remember Glowforge. That's I did it. My brain's slowly coming back from the sickness fog. Um, so you have those, but those ones are like $3,000, $5,000, and I'm not interested in spending that much to get into the house. However, that led us to looking at, um, shall we say, lasers that were blue light. Most of those are open frame lasers, and we've talked about open frame before on the stream, and kind of, we're a little leery, but I'm gonna show you this here, and um, I added this to my makerspace with my wife's um, adulation, I guess. She loves it. I love it. It's great. She uses it more than I do. Um, just spoiler alert, laser engraving is much easier to get in process than 3D printing. The software is a lot easier because it almost works like just a printer, in the fact like a normal 2D printer, because you're just using the laser to put an image onto a shape. You're not worrying about 3D aspects and slicing so much, although it still does use Move G code. We bought this one, the Creality Falcon 2. The Creality Falcon 2 is great. It does have all the little safety features you need. It does have the emergency stop, the key to keep it from turning on, and it has lots of stuff that the other ones miss. Again, not sponsored, just sharing. I've had it. It's had to be at least 6-7 months now, maybe a bit longer, because it was almost last year after that we had bought it. But it's a 22-watt laser, which is actually a lie. It's it's a little stronger, but because of the way the amplification works through the additional mirrors, they stack they stack basically. On this one, I think it's 4 6-watt lasers. Let's do that math. So yeah, so it should be 24 watts, but it's actually 22, just because of the way the laser diffuses a bit through the path of the lenses. So that's how that works. The magical color engraving, any printer can do that, or any laser engraver can do that. It's kind of like when Marlin added safety features. Air assist, that's a huge one, and it comes with it. And then it does have monitoring for fire, for if the air quits, dirty lens, or if the machine tilts while it's running, it will stop. So it does have safety sensors built into it. It can actually cut stainless steel. Not thick stainless steel, but it can cut stainless steel. But it can also, like, 1/8-inch ply isn't a problem. I have some nice thick stuff that a few passes it'll cut right through, and it's all assembled. So now there are some complaints that it's assembled and like this is not really open framed, so like you can't really expand upon it. Helge, no, the laser's going like it was the first day. The thing that helps with that is the air assist. A lot of times, like when you're burning the smoke and stuff, if you're not air assisting, it comes up back into the laser, and then it can like wreck the lenses, and you gotta clean the whole thing. It's a thing. But thankfully, ours is running like first day, and all of this stuff is true. You can make this on the Creality 22. This isn't like stuff you can't do. So you can leather, wood. They got up there. They did show the picture. This is stainless steel, and you can see if you change the laser's power, it will do different colors on the burn. So it's cool. Hey, look, my math was right. I'm like, I don't know if that picture's on here, but there you have it. So then there's 4 that do combine, and you're like, well, 4 times 6 isn't 22. You're right, but you do lose some of the optical clarity. But yes, you can cut. basswood comes with it just as a sample. I bought some off Amazon. It's 1/8 inch, but again, really nice ply, works really well with it. My wife has been doing coasters and on stone, and those work really great. So you can burn and etch into stone. The other one that she does is she'll burn something like this 22 watt into like a cutting board. That's the word I'm looking for. And then fill it with resin. So it works great for that. So we were able to etch to a depth, and then she fills with resin, and it's just great. Now this one doesn't have the Z axis. Some have a Z height offset. This one's solid Z, and then the software Lightburn. I would highly recommend paying the $70 per license. Works great, and you can see they're showing you that the air assist is a good feature, because what happens is as you're burning, if you do have any flare up or particulate, that air is not only cleaning away from the laser to keep it clear. Hell, they're great. I'm not done yet. But you can see here's the monitoring system. This is actually the difference. If you do it with air and cut the snowflake, you get nice clean edges. When you don't have the air, it might not be this overblown, but you do get burn on the edges more, and some people like that look, but this one doesn't have that problem. And then here's how the air works. The air actually flows right out beside the laser and cleans and blows and keeps everything safe. The alarm system we talked about. Now I want to talk about one thing Creality sells, and I don't know if it's on this site, but I promise that we've talked about it. Oh yes, adjustable legs. That's great because as of next Friday, my wife and I will have the I say my wife because she uses it more than I do, but we'll have the rotary attachment too, so we could do tumblers and glasses and mugs, and this machine will tackle them great. There's a trick to get blue laser to etch glass, but it can do it. Just something like this, it can do. You just have to know how to. Technically, blue laser can't cut acrylic or etch it or glass. It just goes through because it's clear. But you can actually, there's engraving paper that you can stick on top, or you can paint with black paint or like black Sharpie, something that it can etch to, and then you'll get the surface to etch. But yeah, my wife Stacy has done a few of these coasters, and again, we're looking forward to doing the mugs. And there's actually two. So we started at the 22 watt. There's a 40 watt now. I'm not sure if that's necessary. Lightburn, you need Lightburn. Get Lightburn. Now, the one accessory that we got that I think everybody should have is as follows, and then I'll do the thing again. I wish I could remember things when I type them. So we have that's fine. So we have this one. Just want to make sure there's nothing like crazy up there. Ooh, price drop. So we bought this enclosure with it. $80. Water-based paint for glass. So you can use like tempera base if you want, or temper base. What is it? Temper paints. So yeah, that works just fine. Then you wipe it off after. Same thing with Sharpie. It's just ISO on glass to get it off. So we bought this enclosure because we wanted something like it was very quick realization that if we're both in there, we don't want to wear the glasses per se, and they actually send glasses that they work, but they're not quite the right frequency for this laser. But throw this enclosure on. It's zipper top, see, zippers, and it does have a fan right in the picture where that on the hose clamps, and then I vented out the window. So going back to Helge's question, how's the laser working? First day. That's one of the reasons too. If you have good ventilation, leaving the enclosure. So this is their new one, and it does have a zipper, but it's squared. And it when you put it together, I'm not sure about this one, but the other one is like almost tent poles that hold the whole thing together, which is it's easy to set up. And then, but this one is squared, so you do have more squared access, and you can see that the front is going to be more rigid. Could be an advantage. I'm not sure. I do like this one for sure, and I think they'll both work good. But I do like this one, and like the material blocks the laser light, and it's great. So you can let it run. Now, when we look at like all the features of it, it's big. it, it the top engraving speed is 2500 millimeters per minute, which it's fast. I can verify that. Now, oftentimes we have to speed it up so we don't have too much burn in, or you bring the laser power down, but speeding it up works. The other thing that it does nicely is the resolution. The laser does offer very good resolution for your imaging and when you're burning. Does it give us the burn space on here? Yeah, working area, 400 by 415. So it's big. It's big. Now there are some out there that are like a bigger workspace, but honestly, it's good for us. It's worked really nice. The other nice thing that I did when I first got it was I got a piece of nice wood. It wasn't spoil board. Now it's spoil board, but I put it under the laser. I 3D printed holes to hold the legs, and then once I had all that together, it was just a matter of making a grid and burning it onto my board. And so now where my laser sits, I have a nice ruler board grid, and it has the circles so I can line up my stuff on bullseyes, or I can line it up on the grid, and it works great. But I was planning on doing like a full video on it just to kind of show how it works and what it is. Once the rotary comes in, that might be a great time. Honestly, the Falcon 10 Ray, I'm sure it does lots of good things. The 10-watt laser, you'll have to slow down to do some stuff, but put it in the enclosure. And if you have a ventilated area, put it in there so that you can vent out. I never actually used the Falcon 10 because I actually have a 10-watt laser from Creality that I bought that like sticks on your 3D printer, and that was a bone of contention for a while because we never actually used it. I didn't want to put it on a printer because, again, it's magnetically attached and it's going like this, so if it falls, that's an issue. And then it just didn't seem like a wise choice because like there was nothing like that Creality case for it. So our open air laser engraver is a good idea. Yeah. But you have to treat them and have enclosures with them. You should still treat them as something like the K40 or yeah. Now, just to give you an idea, now the Falcon is not. It's about $1,000 Canadian. That's what so the 22 watts 1,000. I haven't been able to find the 40 watt. I've been looking for a bit. And you can get something similar in something like this, which is the K40 laser. These ones comes again. This is I think so. There's two companies. This one's straight from China. The OMTech is from the States. They do some QC when it comes from China and then sends it out. But the CO2 laser's biggest advantage is it can burn directly on glass and cut clear acrylic. But you can see it's a little desktop unit. They all look like this. The K40, it's kind of like saying an i3 when we talk about 3D printing. So the K40 all look like this, and there's the laser tube. So the difference is instead of having that laser on top, it goes through a tube and bounces around some mirrors to get to your laser end. Now the this is an interesting one. The one on the left that says old is actually preferable to the one on the right, because just like diode lasers, you don't really want to run 100% on your CO2 laser, especially because they're more susceptible to degradation over time. And if you run 100% on your CO2, so if you were to run this at 40 watts all the time, it will not last very long. Most people run them at about 80% power, and then that actually lets them last a little bit longer. Um, but yeah, again, it's like USB interface. It has built-in heat dissipation, but you can see the differences is the CO2, you have to have some sort of water cooling for the tube, and it has to be distilled water. There's one that says mix water with antifreeze to do it. Follow the instructions, obviously, on if you buy one, but and then it has the ventilation. So it's a little more work just in the fact that like the water pump is a thing. And so you're gonna have to find somewhere where you can keep like a bucket of water and like at the very least a fish tank pump, and then the heat dissipation. Now I solved that problem with mine. I 3D printed a part that has the nozzle that goes in the window, so I can just slide it in, slide it out. I might make one that's magnetic, so I can just go boom, boom, and I have the magnets. So, but yeah, no, I wouldn't shy away from using the 10 rays. Just I'd buy one of those enclosures first, put it on it, and then use it. And keep in mind, just like 3D printing, that some of the stuff you burn could be toxic for you. So acrylic needs to be vented away from you, right? Plastics burned generally aren't good for your health. So just remember that stuff. So I'm going to do the thing here, friends. Boom. And you're actually here. I get to thank you both. Thank you. Without you guys, stuff like the new streaming setup that we're going to have next week for y'all for the live stream with the Patreons wouldn't happen. For sure it wouldn't happen. And the website and the project things. I look forward to bringing a video actually of the site laser to you guys too, but we might make that Patreon exclusive for a few weeks there before it goes to the public. So thanks for being Patreons. If you wanted to join Patreon, it's patreon.com/3D make it. Like I said, you got the Discord is a perk. You have Patreon streams, and then I'm going to start making more videos that are kind of Patreon exclusive for a few days, and then we'll move them out to the public. So I think that'll make it I think you guys will enjoy that access. But hey, thanks for everybody that's here. I appreciate you showing up on a Sunday morning to 3D Printing Church. We'll have Greg back next week, I think. But if we don't, it's the Patreon live stream, 10 a.m. So 1 hour ago is when it starts. We will post those links to the new streaming stuff, so it won't be restream anymore. I'm not sure how the link posts itself, honestly, but it's from it's going to be from Streamlabs. So check Discord, keep an eye out for that. And we'll have that link out. But until next time, friends, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for coming, and we'll